During the years in which Michael Chejov worked and taught in Hollywood, he became increasingly concerned with the modern actor's plight, lack of time to work upon the role. He repeatedly asked his own higher creative self, "How can I help them? How can I help them?" in presenting his shortcuts to the part for members of his master class.
One of our difficulties nowadays is that we never have time to work upon our parts. We might like or dislike the method or part of it or some principles of the method, but actually we have no time to apply it, to develop it, to use it properly. And very often I was asked, is there any shortcut in this method which will give us the opportunity to use it, I mean the method, even to a certain degree, so that we will not flounder aimlessly while getting the part, and we'll have something to stand upon, to rely upon. And then I mentioned this thing which I'm going to mention now. But it is so simple and really such a shortcut that I think then, when I mentioned it, some people were even disappointed. Prepare yourself for this shock of being disappointed. We got a part, script, a big part or a small part, it doesn't matter. Then we do only one thing. We find the sections within this part, sections of emotions, feelings, sensations, we call it, while using them. And find them so that each section will differ from the next one from the emotional point of view, from the point of view of feelings. And that's all. Then we have to do the following thing. We have to name each section, which is different from the previous one and the following one, with some name to baptize it so that the name will express certain emotion, feeling, sensation. Let us say one section is fear, another is a doubt, the third might be courage, whatever it might be. And then, having found these sections, which shouldn't be too small, the bigger the better, it's always. But then we start reading our part with this sensation, or let's say feeling, which you found suitable and right for this particular section. And we read it, I mean being at home, alone, as many times, following one section after the other, as many times as it is needed to begin to experience that the way I am speaking my lines really begins to be more and more expressive from the point of view of fear than the doubt, and so on. And while reading this way our part, I would suggest that you start reading it after you found these sections. First, only with your eyes, as it were, not yet speaking loudly, just inwardly try to adjust your speech to the fear, to the courage, and to other things. Then, if you have time, start reading it again by whispering or with a very low voice, so that your voice will not be used at once fully, because that might cause the following thing, that all your fear before the part, before the lies, all your habits which you would like to avoid perhaps, will awaken immediately and plunge into this loud voice of yours if it is prematurely used. So start then whispering, then a bit louder, 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 until you feel that you are comfortable while you are using your full voice going over these sections. Then I would suggest that you go over all the business which is given in this part. First, you can do it again if you have time, in your imagination only. Then start moving in different tempos which you think will be all right and suitable for this section or that section, according to directions in the script. And then you will see, if you practice it before the real need comes, if you practice it at home without getting yet the real part, you will see that this process, division, dividing into sections, baptizing them, then using your words, starting from reading mutely and then more and more loud, and then business in different tempos, that it will take very little time. It is the shortest shortcut. I don't know any shorter ways. I hope you are disappointed. If you are, then you understood me correctly. Now, if you will try to do this thing, it would be good if you will have in mind the following thing. Our emotions, feelings, and so on, as I mentioned several times, I think, they are within every one of us. They are so rich, so endlessly rich, boundless sea of feelings, emotions, and everything everyone carries within ourselves. But often we don't know about it. Often we are compelled by people who hire us to forget about our own richness and to contract more and more under their influence, and finally we feel we do not feel anything. So small we are and so insignificant in comparison with these big shots. We have to remember always, not only to remember, but really to experience at home while doing this, using this disappointing way of working upon the part, we might and must discover that we are really very rich emotionally. This richness is of such kind that, for instance, we say fear. What does it mean, fear? It means so many things, so many fears, so many nuances, so many deviations, and it is still fear, 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 fear. So the whole world of fear, the whole world of courage, the whole world of doubt, the whole world of whatever name you will find for this section. We have only to be confident, to trust ourselves, our rich actors as well as human natures. If we will break through this wall of not trusting ourselves as great, great talents, rich people, rich actors, rich artists, then of course the sea of emotions, feelings, and all these things will not respond to our appeal to them when we name, for instance, the sections fear. We must get to the stage, by exercising perhaps, that whenever we say fear or courage or whatever it might be, that we let this sea of emotions and feelings to vibrate around us, within us, imagine it where you wish, so that you will get many fears, many courages, many doubts, many whatever the name you choose. And we must learn, and will learn very soon, to open ourselves to ourselves, to trust our artist's nature, and to welcome all these nuances, innumerable nuances, and so on. With other words, we have to learn, unfortunately, we have to learn in the given circumstance of today, to learn to trust our own talents. Because again, as I said before, and many times I think, every one of us is 10 times as talented as he or she thinks. Of course, I must again repeat that it needs some exercising, it needs some effort at first, just to take some part from some play which you are not going to play, and begin to use this frightfully simple way, as it is. And this will be the way to discover yourself. But then you will be always able not only to use your own talent to the fullest extent, but you will be able to adjust yourself without making yourself any harm to any director, to any producer, to any circumstances, because you will be so rich, you will have so many means at your disposal that nothing can do you any harm. If the director will say, no, do it this way, please, I have this way also somewhere within me. Do it the other way, I can do it the other way because I am richer than you can even imagine, dear director. So, on one hand, we shall approach our part in the simplest way. Another benefit of this way is that you will discover yourself. And the third thing, you will find out also that all the emotions, feelings, and things which are in the realm of our feeling, all of them are keen to each other. Crying and tears are akin to laughter. Horror and fear are akin to courage. All the opposite things and different things are all brothers, sisters, cousins, mamas, papas, uncles, and aunts. It is one big family of my feelings and emotions. And what will happen? Let us say you ask for fear. Your section is fear. But you might get not only different ways of expressing and experiencing this fear, you might get inspiration from this immense sea of your own emotional richness. You will get inspiration which might lead you away from fear, and you will re-baptize perhaps this section and call it some other name, because so many things will come to you that you might be able to choose something which will be astonishing for you. How didn't I see it at once? You will be able to see that you can alter and change and find things you did not expect to find. And this thing leads to another. A real true acting, meaning inspired acting, is never doing. It is always happening. If the door to this immense sea of our own talent is opened once and forever, as I said, then everything, even from the very first reading of the script, you will see it if you will have patience enough to work and to exercise. You will be all the time surprised at yourself, because things will happen and you will be just, and with right, you will say to yourself, my God, is it me who does such wonderful things? But I don't do anything. It happens. All the emotions are coming, rising, going, calling upon others. And the inner pattern, psychological pattern, will build itself so that you will become more and more happy, more and more inspired, more and more grateful to your own richness, to your own talent. Sometimes in a very happy moments, I heard it many times, the actor or the actress say, but I didn't do anything, I feel so guilty, everything happened. That's just what should be each time. And this simple way I suggested to you of dividing into emotional sections is the way to this happenings. And more than that, we shall also discover, and now you will disagree with them terribly. There are no difficult parts. What is the difference between Hamlet's emotions and T.B. emotions? There's no difference. It is still me. It is the same immense sea of emotions, feelings at my disposal. How I will combine them, in one case Shakespeare suggests to me, and my own talent naturally. In another case, some playwright of today will suggest, or the director. It is only the way of combining these things, and if we open this immense field or sea of our emotions, they will make a combination which we used to call Hamlet. Or they are much more clever is wrong, They are wise, our real things within us, our talents, much wiser than we are, if we are courageous enough to trust our own talents and to discover by means of exercise this immense sea of our own riches. But if we get to the stage when we can absolutely trust our own genius, our own talent, meaning the sea of emotions, and when we are able to open ourselves to it and say, do what you wish, then our intellect, still not the highest aspect of it, will also get its function, will be useful, and it will appear in a form of so-called common sense. We need common sense on the stage while rehearsing, playing, and so on, so that we know that we shouldn't jump over the footlights or really kill Desdemona and so on. This common sense will take control of very simple things which should be fulfilled, however inspired we might be. And this common sense, if it is used after the big gate to this immense richness of ourselves is wide open, then common sense is very good and useful thing. But the tragedy, a real actor's tragedy begins if this future common sense, while we are already swimming in this immensity, if this small intellect will try to create the part before we discovered within ourselves this immense thing, then of course it is a catastrophe. So in the first part of our approach to the part the way I suggested, only sections baptized emotional sections, we must now allow our intellect to take part in this first initial stage. We just have to fight it mercilessly. I would even say, figuratively speaking, of course, we must become, in this first part of work, somehow foolish. Really, there is a fool within us who creates. And now, of course, you will not believe. If we practice it, if we exercise it, it will happen very soon. Having got a part, it might happen that in an hour you can do the whole thing. Having certain experience of it. Meaning, so much experience, so much exercising, that we begin really to trust ourselves. In an hour you can create a part. And then imagine that we have even more time than 1 hour, the shortest shortcut. Who can stop us to develop the characterization if we want? If we have 2 hours, 7 hours, 2 days, we can do so much. Having started from these 2 simple means which I suggested. You can become interested in objectives, in whatever you wish. And from the very beginning, from the reading the script until the final stage, will not feel one instant when we are floundering and not knowing what have I to do with this part. How can I approach it the simplest and quickest way? We shall always feel that we are standing on some firm ground, even with these sections, emotional sections alone. It is a firm ground. Of course, if we have much time from the very beginning, sometimes it happens that a month or two we get the script before first rehearsal. Then, of course, you can start using the psychological gesture or trying to find the super objective for all these things. But tonight I wanted only to tell you about this shortcut and to which results it might lead to the greatest possible achievements. We start simply and can stop at any moment. We had only time to divide in two sections, emotional sections, read it for ourselves, the rehearsal. All right, I'm ready. Even without this higher intellect, without objectives, without anything, it is enough. And every minute which we get in addition to it might lead us to any other way of developing our.
Michael Chejov stressed that the technique of acting can never be properly understood without practicing it, and that many of the questions which will inevitably arise through reading or hearing his ideas can best be answered by actually doing the exercises. Chekhov's love for theater was the strongest motivating force in his life. Most of all, he loved actors, and he believed in the wisdom of the actor's subconscious. He worked tirelessly to help the actor enter into this inner world in a healthy way, and then to trust where it would lead.
Deep, deep within ourselves, within the treasure house of our souls, are buried tremendous creative powers and abilities, but they remain unused as long as we do not know about them, or as long as we deny them. They are so powerful, so beautiful, wonderful, that we are, and this is the disease of our present age, we are ashamed of them. That's why they remain unused and would remain forever if we would not open the door, go fearlessly into the treasure house and search for them.